anguish when you know, well, we get a break for 4 hours, but as soon as that 4 hours is over, then what? How dare we treat humans in that way? How dare we be so careless and so inhumane and heartless to where we decide that 4 hours is enough time to just make sure to get you some stuff so that you can live a little bit longer until the bombs hit. How dare we, and how dare we treat humans as if we don't understand what it's like to be human.
Yeah, and there's a lot that hasn't been defined in this. Let's say that hypothetically you're in one of the areas where the pause happens and you're able to go, and let's say that in those 4 hours you're able to make a good distance, even though the infrastructure has largely been destroyed. I don't know how you're supposed to move a significant different distance in that time. Where are you supposed to go? You don't live in South Gaza. This is an incredibly densely populated area. You're fleeing to an area that even prior to the conflict had spotty at best infrastructure that has now been strained or destroyed. What are you supposed to do when you get there? There's very little humanitarian aid that's getting in. It's not like there was an overabundance, a surplus going into the conflict. So yes, it's better than you still having to be in the places being actively bombed right now. But what are you supposed to do? I haven't seen any clarification of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's playing out. This is, a lot of people are doing the discourse they need to do for this to get to the better solution than the alternative. Mm-hmm. The alternative solution, like when this happened, I was like, oh, Benjamin Netanyahu's the prime minister of Israel. Is there going to be a Gaza left in 2 weeks? That's what I thought. And that's the worst thing. The better thing, the unattainable thing is like Israel being like, you guys don't do that anymore. The realistic thing, it's the easy for me to say Olympics, right? It's easy to say for you to say Olympics for everybody who doesn't live there. It's like, why don't they just get along? And anyone who tells you that this is very simple, it has as an agenda that is questionable, period. Like, you're talking about the year 1948, like, you had a lot of people who this is the homeland of the Jews. I hate people who are saying it's not like Native Americans. I'm sorry, that it is. That's where they're from. That's where Israel was, and have gone around the world with no home, a diaspora. That's what that is. And everywhere they go, they get hated. Everywhere they go, they're on the brink of annihilation. And then there was a giant. And the ones that get by, they learn like a bunch of languages. They can't own land, so they get into business, and suddenly they're villains for being in business. Like the reason that historically, they're not, historically Jews have had to learn how to speak a bunch of different languages in a bunch of different places so they could help do merchant stuff. And now we run the world, even though everybody else who ran the world only used us if we were useful. And we were useful to help them do business deals. And that's what people hate us for. And that's when people are like, oh, Jews are Jews always trying to be the victim. Like, okay, fine. But what else do you call it? That's it. And in the wake of a Holocaust, they go, someone's like, whether it's racist against Jews are not unused to that. And I'm not, like, you guys go somewhere else. That's hateful, right? And everybody's like, any Jew who likes Zionism is anti-Semitic. No, it's the thing it's the thing you do as a Jew. People don't want you there.
Who opposes it would be classified as that.
Anyone who, they say, there's a thing going around now that anyone who's Zionist is anti-Semitic because the original idea of Zionism was put forth so that the Europeans and the Arab countries who didn't want Jews there could get them out of those places and put them in one spot. That's a narrative going around. The Jews are not unused to people being like, get out, like, we hate you. And then Jews are like, find a way. And so the way that was found for Israel is horrible. It's horrible. The UN was like, go here where all these people live. And you had a combination of people being like, I'll go. And then a combination of people who were like, I'm going to kill everybody along the way because it's been 4,000 years and we haven't had a home. It's horrible. That's horrible. And they get a home in Israel, right? And the UN's like, here's the Jewish area. Here's the Arab area. The Jews are like, okay. And the Arabs are like, not so fast. And they invade immediately. I understand why they invaded, but they invaded. And the Jews are like, well, I live here now. It was a horrible birth. It was a violent commencement. And that it's terrible and it's wildly complicated and it has thousands of years of history. And
yes.
and
which
like,
unfortunately we
people
can't.
Are saying, oh, Jews, like they invade the Sinai. Well, they gave it back. Like and it's possible. It's possible. And my point there is it's possible to go back to what I think everybody at the end of these intense conversations want is 1967 borders. Just do it. Just do it. Get all the settlements out of the West Bank. Get Gaza. And the West Bank to be free. If you want to say from the river to the sea, Palestine, Palestine should be free. At least say like, and there can be an Israel too. I think people mean that by when they say that, but I just think that's the discourse that I think a lot of people should have. And a lot of folks just pick what they think about the history is beneficial to them. And then that's how they do the rest of their discourse. And I remind everybody what I said at the beginning of this, which is like definitely Benjamin Netanyahu's a monster and he should go, Hamas should go in the 1967 borders.
Yeah, look, of all of the different tragedies, one of the political tragedies is that if and when there is actually a sustainable solution, which is hard to even imagine, it's not going to be anything that surprises. It's going to be something that was proposed literally decades ago. And that's tragic on top of all the other tragedies.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.